Picture this in your head. You start to get into a fight inside of Fortnite, but both you and your opponent keep your distance from each other. You take a lot of damage, but you manage to win the fight. But in the distance, you hear the sound of another opponent rapidly approaching you with the War Machine jetpack, using this advanced bunny hopping movement technique. You don't have a jetpack, but you also don't have the health to fight this. So you take what you do have and you try to run. You try to run as far as you can. You dodge and weave. You use shockwaves. You do anything in your power to get away, but that's simply not going to happen. No matter what you do, the opponent catches up to you and defeats you. This is the same story throughout this season, again and again and again. And when this very oppressive item finally gets nerfed, you breathe a sigh of relief, knowing what keeps on happening to you during the season is at least going to happen less. But then, you see the community in uproar saying that Fortnite is ruining the season with nerfs. That is the topic of today's video. Hey everyone, I'm Litzy, your favorite yappin' yapper. We just passed 1,200 subscribers, and I couldn't thank y'all enough. Still working on getting my Fortnite creator code, but it's way more complicated than y'all think. But that being said, like and subscribe, let's get straight into it. The stigma around nerfs and overall balance changes inside of Fortnite used to not be a big problem in the community. There were still many of them, but for some reason, they weren't as big as an issue as they are nowadays. So, what happened? Well, Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 3 happened. Fortnite Wrecked is infamous for many reasons, but the most infamous thing about it happened to be the pages and pages of nerfs the season had received. We all know the story. When Fortnite Wrecked first released, it was quickly known as one of the most unbalanced seasons of all time. Every item introduced was extremely powerful. To many, this was what made the season extremely fun, but to a lot of others, it completely ruined Fortnite Battle Royale. But, as we know, almost every single part of the season, in some way or fashion, got nerfed. This was what started all the hate for nerfs in the game, even if minor nerfs in the grand scheme of things still caused an uproar. People say that nerfs ruin seasons, while completely ignoring the fact that if the game is left in an unbalanced state, it can completely become repetitive and infuriating. This left many people leaving that season, claiming it was one of the worst seasons of all time. Now, we know my opinion on this. I think the hate for the season is overblown, but I digress. We are starting to see the exact same mentality towards the current Fortnite season now. Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 4 Absolute Doom. To cut straight to the chase here, the War Machine jetpack this season is overbearing and absolutely the meta of this season. It's the best mobility item in the game, tenfold, as it gives you infinite high ground and you get to use advanced movement tech with it that makes it extremely hard to hit. Almost every fight you got in, either you and your opponent both have jetpacks and have a confusing flying fight high above the ground, or the worst alternative that I proposed to you at the start of the video, you don't have a jetpack and lose most of the fights to people who know what they're doing with a jetpack. Nerfs were bound to happen to this item. Epic Games knows how oppressive they are. But when these inevitable and needed nerfs do finally arrive, somehow the community is still in a heated uproar. The War Machine jetpack has already received many nerfs to the season to try to fix its issues. Less fuel, less speed. Epic Games knew the issues that came with such an oppressive meta-changing item. But this morning, the jetpack received one more set of nerfs that truly set the community on fire. All they did was reduce the spawn rate of the jetpack. That's it. But still, the community went nuts. This season is ruined. The nerfs ruin everything. Competitive players strike again. Sound familiar? That's the exact same mentality that happened in Fortnite Wrecked. Now, when literally anything in the game gets nerfed, the whole game is quote-unquote ruined. So, how would you even go about fixing issues like this in the game? Well, first of all, I think this community needs to understand that nerfs will happen, but nerfs aren't necessarily bad. Sometimes they're needed more often than not, but other than that, I think Epic Games just needs to do a better job at having balanced items that wouldn't need adjustments when they put them into the game in the first place. Of course, that would be really hard to do. Not even tons of playtesters can confirm if items are actually balanced or not. Only really the player base can do that whenever they get their grubby mitts on it. But I can imagine that Fortnite Wrecked, for example, would have been received a lot better if the stuff added to that season were in the more balanced state they were nearing the end of that season, instead of starting off extremely unbalanced and taking that away from people. Hopefully this community can continue to grow, to be more open to these kinds of changes without immediately jumping the gun and claiming that Epic Games have incompetent devs for just trying to balance out the game. Now, I'm actually going to go off script here a little bit and give my thoughts on how they could balance out an item like the jetpack. I think the best way to balance out something as oppressive as the jetpack is just giving it a lot less fuel. For example, a lot of the jetpacks of the past don't have as much fuel, and if they do have a lot of fuel, they do not have the movement capabilities that this jetpack has. If you guys don't remember, the actual Fortnite original jetpack that you would see in early seasons like Chapter 1 Season 4, I think, and Chapter 3 Season 2. Both of those were like the default Fortnite original jetpack, and both of which were relatively slow, but they gave you high ground. Now, the reason why these jetpacks were a lot more balanced than the current War Machine jetpack is because they don't have the boost and they're relatively slow. It made it very easy to take somebody out of the air if they were abusing the jetpack as much as they could. And it certainly did not have the crazy movement capability that the War Machine jetpack has. So I think best way to nerf the jetpack is make it to where it has a lot less fuel. The boost has like a ×2 multiplier on depleting fuel. Or hell, just don't have the boost at all, because the boost is what's leading to the bunny hopping and making the weapon really oppressive. There are so many times when I'm streaming this game and I lose fights to people just being able to keep up with me endlessly with the jetpack, because they're able to do this advanced movement technique with it, where they're basically bunny hopping all over the place and moving dang near at the speed of a car. It's hard to escape. And I'm actually going to bring up an example here. If anybody remembers Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 8, and when it had the Thanos game mode, it was called the in-game LTM. If you were on Thanos' side of the team, you played as one of his Chitauri. Chitauri were special for having 2 special weapons and a jetpack. That jetpack had very little fuel from what I can remember. I feel like the War Machine jetpack would benefit a lot from still having some speed, but just having a lot less fuel. Because if I'm supposed to be running away from somebody who can keep up with me for so long, it's not going to even matter if they do end up running out of fuel eventually and I'm still running. The jetpack also has a very quick refueling mechanism. I think another interesting way to fix this is keep it the same, but don't let it have infinite fuel. Make it to where people have to actually conserve it like the Fortnite original jetpacks we had a long time ago. Make it to where it has 100% charge, and you actually have to conserve that energy instead of just mindlessly running off and using it all willy-nilly, because you actually have to conserve it. That would also make it to where you can maybe turn War Machine into either a boss or an NPC like Gwenpool, who could actually sell you mythics. Because Gwenpool sells her mythic dualies, which are extremely powerful. But think of it this way. What if we put in these regular jetpacks with all these changes I just mentioned here now into the normal loot pool, make those like the typical War Machine jetpack items you will find, and then give War Machine, like the NPC, a mythic jetpack that people could buy. That would be like the jetpack from the very start of this season. The one that still had all the crazy stuff that it had before it got nerfed at all. That would make it a high valued item, and only one person would be able to be super oppressive with it. I think that would fix a lot of the problems we have here. And on top of that, you can even make it to where the auto turret has a mythic version. That way, every single War Machine item you can get can either just be the basic stuff, or you can go one step further and get all the mythic rarity versions of that. I think that would be awesome. I think that would fix a lot of the issues that I personally have with the jetpack this season. Alrighty, thank you so much for making it to the end of today's video. Before you go, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm a growing channel and it helps me out greatly. It's completely free and you can always change your mind later. But I also want to give a big shout out to every single one of my channel members. That being Puppy Cole, Minecraft Yelly, Tim Sweeney, Nexus, Dr. Victor Von Dooms, Smog17, Gaming Daniel, Anthony Gamer UK, Benjamin Shinmun, don't know how to say that name correctly, Moonlight, Andrew Nixon, Sizzo, Paula Breakspear, Kabir, Zeke, Led Ace, Hades, Evan Edits, Brits Edits, Noob Pro 90, Shoddy King 51, Jennifer Lynn, Red Leon James, Slaybet, Matt Does Minecraft, Batboy 26, Captain Curl, Said with Silence, Jamie Lead 125, Cheeky Kyle Solo, Cheeky Kyle Soso, Fortnite, Light Dragon, The Breakoff, Jagofet EYX, Rare Step, Exor, Spicy Plays, Blue Hair Zero, Tom Hawford, It's Palmer, Max, Mr. Dr. Skittle, and finally, a massive shout out to the GOAT of this channel, Mortal Snow, for gifting over 40 memberships to the channel. And also a quick shout out to my incredible editor, Channel Pup. Thank you so much for watching. Stay lit, and I'll see you later. Good night.